Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.
My name is Karen, and I live in the northern plains of the United States of America, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 35, back in our favorite year of 2020.
If this is your first time listening to the Juicebox Podcast and you'd like to hear more, download Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really any audio app at all. Look for the Juicebox Podcast and follow or subscribe. We put out new content every day that you'll enjoy. Want to learn more about your diabetes management? Go to juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu and look for Bold Beginnings, the Diabetes Pro Tip series, and much more. This podcast is full of collections and series of information that will help you to live better with insulin. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. I'm having an on-body vibe alert. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Eversense 365, the only one-year wear CGM. That's one insertion and one CGM a year. One CGM, 1 year. Not every 10 or 14 days. EversenseCGM.com/Juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is brought to you by my favorite diabetes organization, Touched by Type 1. Please take a moment to learn more about them at touchedbytype1.org on Facebook and Instagram. Touchedbytype1.org. Check out their many programs, their annual conference, awareness campaign, their D-Box program, Dancing for Diabetes. They have a dance program for local kids, a golf night, and so much more. Touchedbytype1.org. You're looking to help, or you want to see people helping people with type 1? You want touchedbytype1.org. This episode is sponsored by the Tandem Mobi system, which is powered by Tandem's newest algorithm, Control-IQ Plus technology. Tandem Mobi has a predictive algorithm that helps prevent highs and lows and is now available for ages 2 and up. Learn more and get started today at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox.
My name is Karen, and I live in the northern plains of the United States of America, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 35, back in our favorite year of 2020.
Look at you. Look at you
Yeah.
making a big year out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, why not just jump all the way in with COVID and being diagnosed with type 1? So it was quite the year, Scott.
You're 40 now?
I'll be 40 in June. Yep.
Oh, awesome. Well, happy birthday a little early.
Thank you.
No, of course. Did you have COVID?
I ended up having flu-like symptoms back in October of 2020, where I ended up just being really sick with like fever, sinus congestion, like ear pain, like everything. So I did get tested for COVID, but they had said it was negative. So I just put it off of maybe having like influenza or something. So I didn't think much of it.
Now that you know what COVID is, do you think you had COVID?
It could have been.
Yeah.
I probably did have it. That was one of the things that my endocrinologist asked me was, did you have COVID? Because they were seeing an uptick in type 1 diabetes after somebody had COVID.
Well, listen, a lot of people are diagnosed after a virus of a number of different kinds. So like it makes sense that if we sprayed the world with a virus, a bunch of people who had, autoantibodies and maybe were on the edge or one day going to be on the edge of having type 1, it makes sense that they might have all gotten it, at the same time afterwards.
Yeah.
Also, like I have no idea how well, none of us probably know how well those tests actually worked. You know what I mean? Like, here, jam this into your brain. You have COVID. No, you don't. Do another one. Oh, that one's different than this one. Awesome. Sit in your house. Yeah. Sit in your house for a year. What was it? 10 days? I forget.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 10 days, and it was like the whole flatten the curve of like 2 weeks, everybody stay home,
Yeah.
So,
that turned into 3 years pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We just need you home for a couple of, let's call it 2 weeks. It's going to be probably to Christmas next year, summer. Jesus.
kept on moving it.
Yeah. A lot of stuff happened. You live, I know you're not saying exactly where you live, but you live out that part of the world that everybody thinks like this would be awesome. And then winter comes and I would run, right? I would run for my life.
You would probably run, Scott. Like, I think about a month ago, like, we had wind chills of 44 below.
What do you do then? Do you hide inside? Do you pray? What goes on exactly?
It's business as usual. I mean, kids still go to school for the most part. I think only like once we closed schools because it was super cold out. But I guess business as usual. I was out running to like the grocery store and whatnot, picking up stuff. So it didn't really stop me. We're just kind of used to it when it gets that cold. So
that's ridiculous, Karen. No one's used to that. Now, listen, like when you leave the grocery store on a day where there's wind chills of, let's just be kind and say minus 20, not even minus 44. Do you curse the entire way to your vehicle?
Sometimes, but no, not all the time. Like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like, it's just just a little snippet of cold weather. Like, we're going to get through this. So it's just making me stronger, Scott.
I want to be clear that I live in New Jersey where I don't think it really gets below like, I mean, I don't know. It's not below freezing that often, right? Like maybe it gets into the high 20s once in a while. It doesn't matter. Like this spring, it'll be 48 degrees and I will like make the miscalculation of going to the grocery store without a sweatshirt on. And I will get out of my car and I will be like, mother, and just curse the whole, I'll be like, oh, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. I'm so cold. I'll just like out loud. I'll be like, people look up at me. I'll be like, this is insane, isn't it? And they're like, it's 48 degrees. And I'm like, I don't know. I caught a chill. So, I think I would during the summer. I mean, it feels angelic to see the photos.
It's nice in the summer. I love it because like our sun doesn't set until about 10 o'clock at night up here. And it is just amazing. Like I love the summers up here.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, don't be fooled. We get some hot summers. Like I think last summer I was volunteering for a race and it was 109, Scott.
Ooh.
And I was just melting.
Again,
like
cursing, complaining the whole time. But actually, I'm better with the heat than the cold for sure. This podcast is not about where I get cold at, though. So, although this should be a whole podcast of when I feel chilly. I don't think anybody would listen, but I would have such a good time just complaining about the weather. I'm going to be such a great old man one day. It's going to be awesome. So, you're diagnosed out of nowhere, or do you feel like did you see it coming? Did it creep up, or did it hit you quickly?
I feel like it creeped up, Scott. So after I was sick, like the end of October 2020, in November, I started getting like blurry vision. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't think my vision like decreased that much. So like, it was almost to the point, like I was working in an office and I had a calendar about maybe like 5 feet from me and I could not see the numbers on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm over here like, well, I'm just going to go to the pharmacy and get some eye drops. Maybe I have something in my eye,
In both eyes? You get something in both your eyes at the same time?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, generally, I'm a pretty healthy person. So that didn't do the trick. So then
Karen, I got to stop you for a second. You're such a good storyteller. And I'm running you over and I apologize. But like, did you actually put the drops in your eyes and when it was still blurry, go, can't believe it? Or were you like, yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. I'm out $9 now. How did that feel? I'm being serious.
Well, no, it was one of those of like, I guess I don't have something in my eye. But the pharmacist said that, it could cause some blurriness a little bit. So I'm like, I'll give it a day. And it
Wait, he said the drops could cause the blurriness?
Yeah. He's like, well, when you put it in, it could be blurry for a little bit. So just give it a little time and then it should clear up.
I don't want to be an alarmist, but everyone listen to me for a second. Stop listening to everybody, okay? Just there's no one to trust. Eye drops might make your vision. Hi, I'm here because I'm trying eye drops because my eyes are blurry and I think there might be something in them. Oh no, they're still blurry. Oh, that could be the drops. It couldn't be that my eyes are. Oh my God. I don't know. I trust no one. Please, it's over. Okay. Talk to the internet. If it tells you something, I don't know. Verify it 2 more times and just go with it. Oh, Jesus. Don't listen to me for goddamn sure. Let me just say that right now. I know a lot of you are, but you're making a huge mistake. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. So yes. the drops didn't work. Go ahead.
No, it did not work. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I'm like, well, I should maybe go into my eye doctor. So went in there and I'm like, my eyes are blurry. What is going on? And they couldn't tell me why. And they're like, they seriously thought that I had MS. They're like, we think that maybe you're developing MS. And they were like, pulled out like this dropper with a red cap on it. And they're like, what color is this? I'm like, it's red. They're like, you don't see pink? I said, no, it's red. They're like, typically, like somebody developing MS would say that that is pink. So they were kind of like, you check out fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
Can I reiterate again? Please stop listening to people. Like, I mean, were we in a Pearl Vision Center? What was going on exactly? This episode is sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. And today I'm going to tell you about Tandem's newest pump and algorithm. The Tandem Mobi system with Control-IQ Plus technology features auto bolus, which can cover missed meal boluses and help prevent hyperglycemia. It has a dedicated sleep activity setting and is controlled from your personal iPhone. Tandem will help you to check your benefits today through my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. This is going to help you to get started with Tandem's smallest pump yet, that's powered by its best algorithm ever. Control-IQ Plus technology helps to keep blood sugars in range by predicting glucose levels 30 minutes ahead, and it adjusts insulin accordingly. You can wear the Tandem Mobi in a number of ways. Wear it on body with a patch-like adhesive sleeve that is sold separately, clip it discreetly to your clothing, or slip it into your pocket. Head now to my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox to check out your benefits and get started today. When you think of a CGM and all the good that it brings in your life, is the first thing you think about, I love that I have to change it all the time? I love the warm-up period every time I have to change it. I love that when I bump into a door frame, sometimes it gets ripped off. I love that the adhesive kind of gets mushy sometimes when I sweat and falls off. No, these are not the things that you love about a CGM. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Eversense 365. The only CGM that you only have to put on once a year. And the only CGM that won't give you any of those problems. The Eversense 365 is the only one-year CGM designed to minimize device frustration. It has exceptional accuracy for 1 year with almost no false alarms from compression lows while you're sleeping. You can manage your diabetes instead of your CGM with the Eversense 365. Learn more and get started today at eversensecgm.com/juicebox. 1 year, one CGM.
I went to some local eye doctor here within my town, and I was just like, I left there like, there is something wrong with me, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to work, I think the next day, and I was just kind of chatting with my coworker, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was really concerned about me. She's like, Karen, you need to go in. I'm like, I don't want to go in. There's COVID like everywhere. No matter where you go, there's like COVID here, over there. Like, I don't want to go into a clinic and end up catching COVID and like taking it back home.
Yeah. I want to call this episode COVID here, COVID there, COVID everywhere. A new Dr. Zeus story. I just love that, like, in a span of a very short amount of time, you went from there might be something in my eye to, ooh, the drops that I put in my eye to clear out my eyes might be making my vision blurry, to I have MS. Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with me, but I still can't see. What's the time frame on this, please?
What is the time frame?
From hey, my vision's blurry to you don't have MS.
Maybe just a couple days.
Oh, yeah. I'm jumping off a roof by then. I'm like, it's enough. I got to get away from all of you people. All right. So did your friend get you to a hospital?
So my friend was like, okay, call my clinic, because what they called it back then was a clean clinic, basically meaning that they weren't taking any patients with COVID. So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I'll go and I'll talk to this clinic. So I called them up and explained my situation, and they're like, well, we're not taking new patients right now. So I actually spoke to a doctor, and I kind of went through everything that I was experiencing, and he goes, I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned that you may have a brain aneurysm.
Jesus Christ.
So he's like, I highly suggest you go into the ER right away and get this figured out.
Okay. So they were able to figure it out, I imagine?
So
oh, God.
I'm like, okay. I'm over here like, well, I don't feel like I'm dying right now. I don't know about going to an ER. But so I ended up I'm like, just whatever. I'm just going to the clinic. I'm just going to mask up. I'm going to sit in a corner by myself and not look at anybody and not
I'm
try
going to
not
look
to
at
get
the
this
floor
virus.
so the COVID can't see me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
By the way, if I had to bet, I'd think we all had COVID, by the way, at some point or another. I just think it probably varied. And, how do you not? So many people had it. How do you unless you sat in your house and really just like hunkered down. I realized later that I was the one that got sent to the grocery store. And it occurred to me later that like the three of them must have got together and been like, if we can like afford to lose one of them, I think it's him. It really feels hurtful in hindsight, I guess is what I'm saying. All right, I'm sorry. Now you have a brain aneurysm. Go ahead.
Yeah, now I have a brain aneurysm. So that's great. So here I am sitting in this waiting room and everybody's coughing around me like, I'm going to get COVID. That's it. Like, it's just going to happen, Scott, Yeah. So I get called into the doctor's office and he's like all suited up. I'm like, okay, great. Like, I hope you don't have COVID on you. So he went through like, what is your symptoms? I'm like, well, blurry vision, extremely thirsty, and I lost 10 pounds in a week, So I'm like, there's something not right here. And by the way, when I was experiencing all this, I was like doing like a fitness challenge at the gym. And one of the things was to drink X amount of water daily. And I was doing this with my sister. And she texted me one day. She's like, I am struggling to get all this water in.
You should have said it gave me a brain aneurysm. So stop complaining, okay?
Right. I'm over here like, I don't know. I'm doing pretty good. Like, I'm able to get it in. And she's like, I don't know how you can. I'm like, I don't know. But nothing would quench my thirst. Yeah. I remember grabbing a Sprite. I'm like, I'm just going to drink this. Like, I am just super thirsty. But anyway.
Yeah, well, you were being driven by certain death, which apparently makes you very thirsty when it involves your pancreas not working.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't wait to hear how this, because I have you just said to an ER doctor, I have blurry vision. I've lost a lot of weight. If you said that to me, I'd go, oh, you have type 1 diabetes. And I want to reiterate what I said earlier. You shouldn't be listening. I barely got through high school. I got to think if I'm an ER doctor, I hear that and I go, oh gosh, you have type 1. Let's check your blood sugar. But what did he say?
So he checked my blood sugar.
Oh, good.
Okay. He did. He's like, well, let's check your blood sugar and go from there. Uh-oh. And I think at the time my blood sugar was like 400. So he looked at me and he said, you have type 2 diabetes.
Can I curse? I don't know where you are on the religion scale. Close your ears for a second. Mother 400, you have type 2 diabetes?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. Type 2 diabetes. So I sat there and was like, what in the world? I swear he was going to have me pinky promise him not to eat any sugar. And he sent me home and said, you cannot eat any sugar. And like he said it like 3 times to me. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I promise I will not eat any sugar at all. So, and I walked out of that clinic just like, I don't know what happened.
Did you believe you had type 2 diabetes?
I was so confused, Scott, that I didn't know.
Karen,
I'm like,
a large portion of the population of the planet has type 2 diabetes. How come they can see their calendars?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And I should back up a little bit to kind of talk about, I was pregnant back in February of 2018 and I had gestational diabetes then. So I remember going to like my doctors for like those follow-up visits and they're like, gosh, Karen, you are just killing it over here with like checking your blood sugar, eating what you need to eat and whatnot. Where fast forward to walking out of that clinic, I thought to myself, I just got promoted to diabetes. Like I now officially have diabetes.
This is my fault. I did too well with those blood sugar checks and God was like, she can handle it. And yeah, right now I hear it. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
You know, kind of like those work memes. Like when you do a really good job, you get promoted to something that you don't want to be promoted to. And I'm just like, I got promoted. So
no raise in pay. They didn't change my title, but I got more work all of a sudden.
Yeah. So I walked out of there and he had told me, you need to meet up like talk to your primary physician. Well, at the time, I didn't have a primary physician because he just retired. He probably saw COVID coming. He was like, I'm out. I'm retiring.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to establish care with somebody. So I honestly was calling around just trying to find somebody. I had a doctor that I was going to go visit with, but she was like 3 weeks out. I'm like, I can't wait 3 weeks. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. So I got a primary physician pretty quickly. And she was the one that was like, hey, I don't know if you have type 2 diabetes. Let's go ahead and let's do some other testing on you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. By the way, I'm stunned that the ER doc didn't foist the metformin on you. I thought for sure that was coming in the story.
Well, I think she actually gave me metformin. So
really,
I was on metformin for a little bit. I can't remember if it was him or if it was her that put me on it.
Gotcha. I mean, if she thought you had type 1, I don't think she would have been the one to put you on metformin. That's me guessing.
It could have been him because I remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm having conversations now personally with somebody like in their early 20s, 140 pounds, just lost 20 pounds, clearly has type 1 diabetes. That person left the ER with metformin. You have type 2 diabetes. Here's some metformin. Luckily, they knew me and texted. I was like, that kid does not have type 2 diabetes. This is, I wouldn't take the metformin if I was you. Like, go find a better doctor. And that's what they did. But anyway, just unbelievable. I'm so sorry. Like, go ahead. You're having a horrible time. And you're also the mother of like a 2-year-old at this point, too, right?
Yeah, and two boys as well.
Yeah.
So I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I had a boy who was 12, another one who was, I don't know, how old was he? I think he was 7 at the time, and then a 2-year-old.
Oh my gosh. What are you trying to populate the planet? What's going on?
Right? I mean, 3 kids. I'm like, after my last one, I'm like, this is the last one. I'm not going to try to have another to keep me busy.
Tell me the truth. The third one, not on purpose?
No, it was. My husband wanted another child. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, no more. Like,
he's like, here, I'm going to make a third baby and then I'm going to work. So good luck with that.
Right.
You're like, I have a job too. Wait a second. Hold on. Boys. Never mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
In the ER.
So I ended up going to my new primary physician, and she had said, okay, let's do some different testing on you because I think that you are not a type 2. I'm like, oh, then what am I? She's like, I'm thinking that you have LADA. You may need to have insulin. I'm like, okay. Awesome. So we ran the test, and she had messaged me later, and she's like, yes, you're going to need insulin. So I'm referring you to an endocrinologist.
Okay. Well, was it nice to have an answer?
Yes, it was very nice to have an answer because I was very confused with everything from MS, from blurry eyes to MS to brain aneurysm to type 2 and now type 1. Yeah.
If you would have asked an AI or Google, you would have gotten a better answer than all the people you saw before that.
I probably would have, Scott.
No, I mean, if we type in right now, I have blurry vision, this, and my blood sugar is 400, it's going to say, you have type 1 diabetes.
That's what I'm going to do here on out, Scott. I'm just going to use AI. Yes. Like, tell me what I have. Yes. AI.
Stop trusting people is the name of this episode. Go ahead.
I went to go see the endocrinologist on November 18th of 2020. And that's where he was like, we're stopping metformin. They got me a Dexcom right away, which is wonderful. Yep. I remember them saying like, well, you're going to have to check your blood sugars, Karen. And I'm over here just thinking finger sticks like the whole time. I didn't know anything about a CGM. So I'm like, well, that's going to be kind of hard to do this all the time because we're a pretty active family. We do a lot of mountain biking. So I'm like, well, and exercise drops your blood sugar. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just stop on the trail and just check my blood sugar from time to time. But my diabetic educator's like, no, we're going to get you a Dexcom here today and send you home with it and get it all like set up on you and whatnot.
Right,
so
you can stop for the regular reasons on the bike trail now.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that's how it popped into your head. Like, oh gosh, I know what blood sugar checks are because I was gestational. How is that going to affect my bike riding? It's interesting. I always wonder how the news strikes different people. Like, what do they think of first? What scares them? What do they stay scared about? What do they figure out later, get away from? Like, you have such a limited understanding of what you're, being thrown into. And then all of a sudden you're trying to apply that limited understanding to the rest of your life. It's almost not even worth thinking about in the beginning. You wouldn't know that, but you're just going to come up with the wrong answers to a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't hassle you about not being on insulin and giving you a CGM?
They gave me insulin right away at the endocrinologist office.
Okay.
So like that day, my husband and I left, and you got to go pick up insulin, and you have to pick up Bacemi in the event that you have like a super low. They got me all set up with that. I think I spent like 2 hours at the endocrinologist appointment, Scott. It was a long visit.
Yeah. I wonder if it just struck me. I wonder if they do that, like, because I've seen a couple of people get diagnosed, LADA. They don't really need insulin yet, but they're like, here, let's just give you like a basal pen so you have it. I wonder if they do that so that the insurance won't argue about the CGM.
I don't know.
That just occurred to me. Maybe that's like some sneaky good thing a doctor does know to do. All right, then. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I'm not saying don't listen to doctors. I'm saying don't listen to anybody. I just want to... I tried to go out and pick up some takeout the other night. Can I tell you a story? So, we're visiting my mother-in-law for her birthday. We kind of sprung in on her. So we're like, we'll go bring a meal in, right? So nice restaurant nearby, go, order the food. They say, come 45 minutes. I come like a gentleman 40 minutes before, right? The girl goes, we're very behind. An hour and a half later, they bring out my food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's now an hour and a half past when I ordered. So it's twice as much time as they said. She brings the food out. She goes, listen, you waited so long. I'm so sorry. Let me go through this piece by piece and make sure you get everything. I don't want you to get home without your food. I was like, that's lovely. Thank you. She pulled out the receipt. She took out a highlighter. This is this. This is that. This. You've got everything. I was like, oh, you're a gem. Thank you so much. I got back to my mother-in-law's house. People are looking at me like they forgot who I was because I've been gone they're like, oh yeah, that guy went out for food a couple of days ago. And, I just wanted soup. Everyone's got their food. And I look in the bag and I'm like, where's my soup? Where's my soup? So I don't trust her. I don't trust the people. It's over now. I can't. Everything was there. There must have been 25 items in that bag. Just not my goddamn soup. Man, I like I said, I've given up. I don't trust Karen. I don't trust you.
Trust issues.
I swear to God, like, I don't know how many times I can be let down before I just say to myself, why do I keep expecting this to go well? You know what I mean? Do I sound depressed? I'm not. Oh my God. All right. I'm so sorry. You got a Dexcom, you got a doctor, you had this super long visit, and did you stop worrying about COVID?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, yeah. Like, okay, I don't have to worry about me having COVID or, trying to get it, other than, going to the grocery store and just your typical life, So
what I mean is that prior to this diagnosis, you see this all the time, right? Like people's perspective level, like you said, I got promoted. Your perspective gets promoted really quickly when somebody tells you your kid or you have type 1 diabetes. Like, you hear people talk all the time about like, oh, I'm so worried about this or that, then all of a sudden they just stop worrying about that stuff because they're like, I got bigger fish to fry here. So like, I was wondering if that happened to you. Like, did you just go, oh, I can't think about this COVID thing. I'm thinking about this.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was so much to learn, Scott. I mean, they're now giving me insulin and they're like, oh, hey, like you need this to live. But if you dose too much, you could die from it. And I'm like, okay.
Awesome.
Like, this is great. So I'm like, just tell me what I need to do. And they're like, you have to learn that. I'm like, but like.
From who?
Like how? From you, Scott.
Oh,
That's where you came in,
Scott.
And I learned a lot from you. But now I'm really questioning if I should trust you, Scott.
No, you probably shouldn't. Although there's a shop vac in the room and it's red and I can see that it's red. So I don't have MS at the very least. So,
that's good. I'm glad it's not pink.
Yeah. But seriously, they said, look, this could kill you. There's a lot to learn. Get out there, kid. Good luck.
Well, they set me up with like, okay, this is how much you should take, like carb ratio and so forth. Mm-hmm. I think I was looking very much for like black and white stuff, Scott, and like learning about type 1 now, it's not black and white.
Yeah.
Because my educator's like, it's going to be different because food affects you differently, and that's where listening to your podcast about like fat and protein and how you get like a rise with that later. Like I learned that from the podcast,
Listen, I learned that from the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like if you think I knew fat and protein made my kid's blood sugar go up when she was like 8, I didn't know that. I mean, I know it's a thing people knew. I didn't know. And then you start having conversations and somebody says something one day and you're like, wait a minute, what? And then, all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, you should talk to this lady from Canada. She's got a way of talking about it. I'm like, great, get her on. And then she's talking. You can even look at the pro tip series and see sometimes like, oh, he figured that out later, because if he didn't, that clearly would be higher on that list. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a journey for everybody, but I think the podcast is just a great place to have a conversation so people can figure things out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's very much, it is a journey, because I tell you what, that 2-hour endocrinologist appointment with a dietitian, with the endocrinologist himself and a type 1 educator, like it was like information overload.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm grateful for my husband being there with a clipboard, like writing down all these notes, Scott, so that we can refer back to it. And if they would have told me about that, about fat and protein, like spiking your blood sugar later or making it rise later, I don't know if I would have retained it.
Do you have any idea? It hasn't been that long ago. So maybe you're a good person to ask, like, do you remember what you took away from that meeting?
That I would have to wear a CGM basically for the rest of my life. That I can't do anything to change type 1 diabetes, and that it was an autoimmune disorder.
It took them 2 hours to get that to you? That's awesome.
That's what I remembered. Yeah. But I mean, look at my husband's notes and there was much more. But that's just what I took away, like at that point. I couldn't tell you much of anything else. Meeting with the dietitian, I knew some of that stuff just from having gestational diabetes, of like, this is how you count carbs and so forth.
What does your husband do for a living that he owns a clipboard?
He works QA for a software company. So he gets to test all these programs and see if they break or not. So that's what he does.
I thought for sure you're going to tell me like he was like mobile and he needed it like to lean on in his car or something like that. Anyway.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm like, who owns a clipboard? It's awesome.
He does.
Page 1 at the top, it said, get Karen pregnant a 4th time, scratched out. He was like, never mind that.
Not happening.
So he kept like what we'll call copious notes. And like, did you refer back to them afterwards, or was he like acting like a coach at that point? Was he yelling out like, don't forget this, or?
I would go back and look at the notes, and along with the notes that they had taken, because I have like my chart where I can go in and look at the notes and so forth. He was a great support. He's like, hey, Karen, like, I think we got to do this, looking back at my notes, this is what they said. But no, he was not a coach like yelling at me.
No, so. Listen, if he's a regular boy, what he thought was, oh, who's going to take care of these 3 kids? I got to keep her alive. I mean, like, I wanted to like go to soccer once in a while, but I wasn't looking for the whole experience. So.
Oh, yeah.
Karen, you got to live. You got to live.
I can't take care of these 3 kids and maintain a house.
I don't have it in me to do the sit-ups. It's going to take to trick another lady into watching these kids. So
yeah.
No. Oh, so, okay. Well, that's lovely. So he's got the notes. You're referring back. That's your entree. You've got these 2 hours. He's writing furiously. Awesome. You're not really retaining much except like life shift things, which makes sense to me. So then like when, the next day becomes the next month, like a month later after that meeting, where are you? Like, and are any of those notes or anything that happened to you, is any of it helping?
I feel like that it was helping.
Good.
Like the next couple months. And I should say, Scott, like when I was diagnosed November 18th of 2020, I was in extreme denial about it, where I'm like, I am going to show them that I don't need insulin. I don't need this. I'm going to accomplish this with diet and exercise, which now like you can't.
But did you know in that moment that wasn't actually possible and you just were like, I'm going to try anyway? Or did you actually think it was possible?
I think it was like, I'm going to try anyway. Like, because like when I had gestational diabetes, I only needed like a background insulin. I didn't have to take insulin when I ate. So I'm like, that I'm just going to do a background insulin. And I think part of it, Scott, is because I didn't want to give myself shots. I didn't want to carry this fast acting insulin around with me everywhere. And having to take like shots like at a restaurant or at work and so forth and explain myself all the time. I just didn't want to do it. So I'm like, I'm going to show them that I don't need fast acting, that I can manage with just a basal insulin.
Did you ever say that out loud to anybody?
I asked my educator, because she called me like a couple days later after the long meeting, and she's like, how is it going, Karen? I said, pretty good. Like, I just want to know, like, do I have to take this fast acting insulin all the time? Can I just get away with taking basal, like an injection once a day? And she's like, typically not. I'm like, okay.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway, just so you know. And what was your plan to accomplish that? Was it like an eating style? Was it an exercise regimen? What were you thinking was going to do that for you?
I was thinking it was going to be exercise and low carb. I mean, and I did the low carb diet, I guess, and it didn't work out so well.
But did you still have type 1 diabetes?
I still had type 1 diabetes, yeah, Scott.
Right.
And I think the other thing that I didn't know, Scott, when I was in this denial was that there's so many other factors that contribute to high blood sugars rather than just the food that you put in your mouth. I didn't realize that. I thought it was purely just because of the food. Yeah. I didn't know that heat and cold and hormones and
stress.
I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Can affect your blood sugars.
All the things. Living, breathing, turning your head.
Stress,
Exactly.
It all affects it.
How long are you on this journey to not use insulin?
Well, just so that we're on the same page, I was using insulin, like I was doing fast acting, but I'm like, I think I'll get it like to the point where I don't have to,
Well, okay, I'm sorry. How long were you on the journey to trying to not use insulin?
Yeah, maybe a good 6 months.
Wow.
Of like, I'm going to try to just eliminate all the carbs that I'm putting in myself and not have to do it.
Did those 6 months end with a whimper or a bang? Did you go out fighting or did you just slowly go, oh, this ain't going to work?
I went slowly, like, this isn't going to work.
Didn't have like a meltdown or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. I mean, there's times, Scott, that I remember just crying, though. Like, I remember being at a bike race with my husband, and I was extremely hungry, but my blood sugars were so high. And I just remember just crying. I'm like, I'm hungry, but I cannot put more food in my mouth because it's just going to, spike it even higher. And I'm like, this is how people end up with eating disorders. I'm just like, I need to eat.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm like, okay, I need to change some stuff.
I guess I'm going to give myself some insulin and have a sandwich. So
right. And I was giving insulin at that time too, but I'm just like, did
you not know how to use it at that point?
I think it wasn't going down. Like, I gave myself some insulin to get my blood sugars down, but it wasn't going down fast enough. It was warm. I was cranky. I had a car sick kid. And I'm like, I just want to eat something. And I feel like I can't eat anything because my blood sugars are in the 200. And if I eat the sandwich right now, we're just going to bump them up to 300.
I'm trying to ride this bike and be a mom and all the other stuff. And I don't want that to happen. You guys got to stop riding bikes. It sounds like your biggest problem.
Oh, yeah. That is what we live for some days, I tell you what. Which I was writing this all out, Scott, and I looked at it. We did a bike race about a month after I was diagnosed. And I'm like, what was I thinking?
Well, you were doing the this isn't going to stop me thing, right?
Yeah, I think I was like, this isn't going to stop me. And then I looked at it again, and I'm like, I did another race in February of 2021, which brace yourself, okay? We ended up doing this race in winter with wind chills of 24 below. And I ended up hiking 20 miles for this race.
Why do you have to hike to get on the bike? I don't understand.
Well, okay. So this is a fat bike race and like a snowshoe race, basically. I don't have a fat bike for the snow. So I opted out to do snowshoe.
Karen, when we start this conversation, it would have been polite if you would have started by saying, I have a mental illness. But then I would have known while we were talking that, you know, what I was dealing with. Why in God's name would you do that? I don't understand at all.
Because I was on the path of this is not going to, type 1's not going to stop me.
Could you have learned to code or something instead? Like, why wasn't it like type 1's not going to stop me? I'm going to make my own app.
Nope. And I think the other part is just like, you just get cooped up and you're like, I need to get out of the house and do something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. We traveled to go do this race. And in fact, Scott, I heard you make a podcast. I don't know what it was, but anyway, you're like, I'm always surprised when people listen to the podcast. So just so you know, during that race back in 2021, I was listening to your podcast and just...
Well, then it's fine.
You know.
No, then I don't have any trouble with it at all. I'm so confused. Why didn't you just say that?
Should have started with that.
Yeah.
Listen to your podcast during this race.
Oh, yeah. Listen. Now I think you're making a lot of sense. You should be out there probably 18 hours a day. Learn it, you know what I mean? Really, really ride and let that thing run. And for all you listening, why not let it play overnight while you're sleeping too? Right? Maybe you'll learn something while you're asleep.
You never know. Save time, right?
Oh my God. I was watching a YouTube video when I fell asleep last night. And like an hour later, I realized it was still happening. And I was like, oh God, I mean, how many other videos ran? Like, what is it I now know that I don't want to know?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, no, I didn't mean, I'm so sorry. Let me apologize. If you were, I think you're not mentally ill for going out in the snow if you're listening to my podcast while you're doing it. There's a guy online who's like, I left my keys at work and it like turned into like 5 more hours of driving. And he's like, but I listened to the podcast the whole time. And I was like, oh, right on.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no, that's cool, Ryan. Thank you. I was like, that's what we need.
Absolutely.
So after all this, right? Forget me for a second. Like, why does finding other information like in different forms, like how did that end up helping you more?
When I got diagnosed, I just started putting LADA in everything. You know, I think I came across like a LADA Facebook group and somebody in there said, check out like the Juicebox podcast. So I'm like, okay, I'm not one to like sit down and just read things. Like I retain stuff better by listening. Mm-hmm. So, and honestly, Scott, I almost stopped listening to the podcast when I first started.
Oh, what I
because,
do?
Well, nothing that you did.
Oh, never mind.
I mean, it was more so like, I think the terminology of like basal and bolus. I never left that endocrinologist appointment knowing what those meant. Mm. And I'm like, I don't get this. I don't know what this guy is saying, you know? So I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm MDI. I'm not on a pump, you know, at the time, but now it doesn't really matter. You know, just learning about it, like it's the same. Like it's still your basal insulin, you know, yeah. And you need a bolus whether you inject or if you're on a pump. So,
you know, if people start hearing bumper ads for the Defining Diabetes series, eventually they're going to be like, Karen, now I got to listen to all that stuff because he's like, oh, I didn't know that. You know, it's funny. Like when I was in the middle of making all that stuff, it was in the feed constantly. So people knew it was there. But once you get done, you're like, all right, there's 60 episodes of defining like, you know, short 10-minute episodes that explain terminology to you. I think podcasting is the best way to deliver this information. Like I haven't seen a better way to help people with their diabetes than these kind of longer form conversations so far. But the format and the way the players work, what you would like is to be able to open up that app and see like those series at the top and then the new episodes underneath of it. But that's just not how the apps aren't designed for me. They're designed to work for everybody who has a podcast. And it's more episodic, really, the way they're set up. I did find myself talking to somebody the other day. I think it's why I said develop your own app when I was joking about other things you should do, because I thought, why don't I develop an app that I can set up the way I want it to be that's a podcast app? The problem would be getting it into people's hands. The ease of getting podcasts to people is because you buy an iPhone and the podcast app's on the iPhone already. So, right. You know, I feel like it would be one of those things that like if I could accomplish it and then somehow force it onto all your phones, it would be awesome. And it would really, you guys would love it. If you can't get people to adopt it, then you just have this great tool that's not being used and ends up costing me, you know, I'm going to guess like $15,000 to get developed or something like that. So I don't know. I'm glad. So it worked out for you. Like, why did you not quit?
I think just dedicated to figure it out. I think I took a break for a little bit, and then I'm like, no, there's more. Like, there's more that I need to learn. The podcast was the best way to learn it. Like I said, like I could just throw like earbuds in and go for a walk and listen, instead of trying to sit down, read a book about it with having 3 kids, like juggling all their activities and whatnot, where I'm like, I can just listen to this in the car. I was listening to it at work as I worked. So it was the best way for me to get that information, Scott.
Well, I guess I'm not going to change anything. Have you ever watched a chameleon yawn? Because it just happened to me. And he just looked at me and he was like, "Mwah."
Does he think I'm that boring?
No.
I think
he just moved. You and I have been talking for 44 minutes. He's moved 6 inches in that time.
Oh,
the other one's great. Running in circles like it's a crack addict, just so you know. Well, is it ridiculous of me to say, like, what did you learn that really, like, was there a thing that got you moving? Was it like, oh, okay, terminology makes sense now, other things are making sense? Like, there's no secret sauce to it, though, like, right? Like, it's not like I heard this one thing and it all fell into place. It's just time and absorbing things.
Yes, it's absolutely time. Absolutely the time. And just really focusing in, what does this definition mean? It was language that I've never heard before. So, and I think I finally just like, I just got to Google this. Like, what is this guy talking about? So there's no secret to it, Scott. It's just time.
Yeah. And it's funny because you can say all things like, well, Scott, why don't you put like a dictionary on your website? And it would be nice for the people who would use it. But like most people wouldn't. Like that's the thing. Like when other people try to help, like when I'm like brainstorming online, I'm like, how do I help you guys? And everyone's like, oh, do this, do that. I'm like, yeah, I've done that. It doesn't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that sounds good and it probably is right. But the leap of getting someone to actually do it is nearly impossible. Like you can't make anybody do anything. I think that's why the podcast works, because it's passive and, you can make the argument I'm doing something else while I'm doing it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like I'll go for a ride and I'll listen. I'll go for a walk and I'll listen while I'm working, however that ends up happening. But if I say to you, like, every piece of terminology you need's at like juiceboxpodcast.com/terminology. And you're going to be like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like it's a weird thing trying to get the information to people. It's not as straight of a line as you would imagine.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't know if I would actually have gone to look at the terminology. I don't think I would have thought of that.
Yeah, no.
I probably would have just, what I did is just throw it in Google and like explain this to me, Google, Yeah.
I hear you. Okay. All right. Awesome. So now modern day, like how are things going and like, what have you figured out and what are you still trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So I guess the other thing that I should state is that I did end up getting Hashimoto's with it as well. So that was back in February of 2021. So
symptoms at that time before you got the diagnosis?
What was that?
What were your symptoms?
Losing hair, like a lot of hair. So, and I think being tired, although like I had a lot of tiredness when it came to like before I was diagnosed with type 1, where I was just like, I'm not going to go to the neighbor's house to go watch this movie or anything like that. I'm just going to go to sleep, Yeah.
You were beat up, just run down, couldn't get rested.
Yeah. And during that time, just extremely hungry. I remember eating like a ribeye, and Scott, I was so hungry afterwards and I was losing weight. I mean, that's all typical of type 1,
Yeah.
But with Hashimoto's, probably a little sluggish and losing a lot of hair.
Okay.
So, which is, I guess, a little bit common in some of these colder states in the winter of, I don't want to go outside because it's cold.
Well, since it's negative 44 degrees outside, what if I sat here? Is there a lot of seasonal affective disorder? Like is it a thing you guys talk about?
Yeah. A lot of times it's like our sun goes down. I think the earliest is maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock in the winter. And it's just like,
Yeah.
Seasonal depression is a real thing, Scott.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all happy once the sun is out a little bit longer and we're getting that vitamin D from the sun. So
Let me ask you a couple of questions so that the Canadians don't get upset with me.
okay.
What do you got there? Like, are there bison walking around or moose? Meese? But is there a lot of? Is it moose?
It's moose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what, you got stuff like that? How about snakes? You got rattlesnakes. What else you got?
Yes, we have rattlesnakes around here. I think more west of me, we have those rattlesnakes. We have bull snakes. We have moose. Just going north of here, we have moose. The bison, they don't just roam. They are in our national parks, although they have been known to escape before. So,
do you have any squirrels?
Lots of squirrels.
Could you say we have moose and squirrel, please?
You want me to say that?
Do you not know Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
Sorry. I was not making the connection.
You don't have to say it. I was just looking for it because you have that delightful accent that's not quite Canadian and not quite American.
I'm in between, right?
Yeah. You're like, all right. But it's not so Wisconsin-y. It's more like, it's a great accent, but I just wanted to hear moose and squirrel.
Moose and squirrel. How's that?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just, trying to keep things light. I hear bison, I hear rattlesnakes, and I don't hear moving van. Why is that? Why do you?
We have a lot of family in the area, and a lot of good friendships up here. We did live in Houston for a little bit, for about, 6 months or so. We were helping a company relocate to the Houston area. They were working.
Was that a ton of culture shock for you being in Houston, or did you like it?
It was different, I tell you what. We ended up going through a hurricane at the time. And because I don't know what we were thinking, Scott. We moved down there during hurricane season, and we moved back north in December when it was cold. So, but it was definitely different, a lot busier. It was really fun just to experience a different place,
Did you like the busy?
No, I don't like the busy. Sometimes the town that I live in is a little too busy for me,
Really? And it's not at all, right?
No, compared to Houston, no, it's not busy at all. So
I love the idea that you're like, what we'll do this year? Like, when there's hurricanes, we'll go to where there are hurricanes. Then when it's freezing cold, ungodly cold, where people shouldn't be, we'll go back then to there. You got the snowbird thing backwards.
I know, right? I should reverse that.
Yes.
I need like one of those Uno reverse cards to reverse it, Scott.
Let me get this back. We're talking right now about like maybe trying to go to Yellowstone for a vacation, like to go that direction. And it sounds lovely. Like, and I think I'd like to do it, but I know for sure that I would get the hell out of there. Like, I know if it was up to me to get from like Plymouth Rock to California, we wouldn't have got very far. I'm just, I would have given up very, very, very quickly.
You should go to Yellowstone and experience it.
It's nice, right?
You can see all the bison.
Mm-hmm.
You have bison traffic jams and whatnot.
Well, I have to say bison when I'm there, or can I say it the way I say it, or what do you think?
I mean, you can say it how you say it. So,
what time of year would I be best off there?
Probably the summer. You can see Old Faithful and all the geysers and whatnot.
We talking August, July, June? When's best?
I couldn't even tell you. I think anytime. It's their busy time, so it's going to be pretty busy there. But
my daughter went to Manhattan yesterday to go to a museum. It's not busy for us. We'll be okay. You know what I mean?
You'll be okay.
Can you imagine waking up one day and a friend calling you and saying, "Hey, do you want to go to the museum?" And you say, "Yeah, sure." So you get up, you take a shower, you drive 20 minutes, you get on a train, you ride the train for an hour and 15 minutes, you get off, you walk through a city for 45 minutes to the museum. Does that sound insane to you?
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
She was home by 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She got up, left, went, did the museum, back on the train, came back home. Like she was home by like 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah. They literally just went to see that music, to go through the museum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're like, oh God, that sounds horrible. We should not do that.
Yeah, that sounds too busy. I need to find somewhere else where there's not a lot of people, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever been to Manhattan?
No. Nope. I've been out to Baltimore for a work trip, but
that's not the same.
Not That's about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
not
not the same.
Manhattan, no.
One of my favorite things in the world is to come up out of the subway with a person who's never been in Manhattan for the first time. Like to see them like walk up the stairs or come up the escalator and just be like, oh my God. To watch it hit them for the first time it's really crazy. Like to see when they see a skyscraper, like not like a tall building, but like a skyscraper, to watch their brain try to make sense of all of it in the first couple of minutes is really something. So
I'm sure I would look like a deer in headlights walking up there, you know?
I've probably said this on the podcast before, but my sister-in-law got off the plane. I picked them up in Newark the first time she was like here, and we get out in the parking lot of the airport. She'd probably be so embarrassed. And she points to this building. She goes, "That's the biggest building I've ever seen in my life." It was the Comfort Inn at the at the airport. It was like 12 stories high, you know? And I was like, get the hell out of here, really? I said, wait till we get out on the highway. And we got out on the New Jersey Turnpike, and she basically like just shut down.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's like, I don't even know. It's like 4 lanes going in each direction. Everyone's driving 85, 90 miles an hour. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, I've never seen this many cars before. And I was like, well, they're all trying to kill us. So close your eyes. Like, close your eyes. We're in this game too, by the way. We're trying to kill them. Just so you know, it's you know, it's like Mad Max is what I'm saying. Not the one with Mel Gibson. The new ones are really good.
Sure. We've been to San Diego before, and the traffic there I thought was crazy with 4 lanes and everything. Even Houston a little bit, but San Diego seemed worse.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I grew up here, and when I got out on the road in LA, I was like, oh, holy hell.
Yeah.
You know, like it seemed like a lot to me. So yeah, it's just really interesting, like to grow up in different scenarios. Like obviously you can walk outside when there's wind chills and you don't think anything of it. And my kids, when they were 18 years old, could drive 90 miles an hour. Like,
sure.
Yeah. You know, it's just different skills, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have we not talked about that you wanted to talk about? Because I feel like you have a lot to say, and I feel like I'm very chatty this week. You guys will notice when you're listening back, you're like, holy, that guy talked a lot this week. So what do you want to talk about?
So I took notes, Scott. Like I jotted all this stuff down. I guess you had asked like, where am I now? Like, how am I? I don't know if you said coping with it, but like whatnot. But to kind of answer that question for you, like I started the Omnipod 5.
Awesome.
January of 2023, and I was very resistant to it. So, but now, like my husband asked me the other day, he's like, "Would you ever go back?" I said, "No, I'd never go back." You know, I will always have like a pump, and that's just what it has to be to keep me alive, you know, but really resistive to it. It was actually my diabetic educator who was like, let's try the in pen, you know, and slowly kind of marching me there. And I'm like, okay, tried it. It worked, you know, and she's like, we should try the Omnipod or a pump. You can decide, Karen. And I'm like, well, no, like I started a new job. I just don't want to learn all this new stuff. And I'm like, maybe in like a year. And she's like, maybe in like 6 months. I said, fine, maybe in 6 months we'll look at it. She was really, she knew that I could do it. And I would never go back to MDI.
And that was your resistance, is change was your resistance. You just didn't want to change.
I think, Scott, it was because I didn't want another thing on me to make me stand out. I'm not one to really stand out or anything. And I'm like, I just don't want people to think, oh, she's fragile. You know, like we can't ask her to do that, you know, because she has a pump on her and like what's going on.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for the state government under a federal grant that helps people transition from nursing homes back into the community.
Wow.
So as long as it's safe transition.
They're still letting you do that? It's that hasn't been shut off yet.
It hasn't been shut off yet. Okay. There for a while, I'm like, am I going to have a job? But no, we're still going.
You were worried you'd look fragile to people.
Yeah, I did. And
that's not a concern now?
No, not as much. I mean, Scott, there's times that I will purposely like put my pump somewhere that people can't see it. And there's other times that I will show it. Like if we have like some sort of like a bike race or something, that pump is showing. Because if for some reason I crash, like as far as having a low, or maybe crash as well out there, that somebody can see like this lady has something on her arm,
You want them
like
to know. Yeah.
maybe to like alert them. And I have like something that says like, hey, I'm a type 1 diabetic.
Mhm.
Go get the see me in my jersey pocket and, use that on me.
A lot of trust. We went over earlier. You probably shouldn't trust people, but okay. Like, let's hope that happens. This is going to sound ignorant, and but whatever. How many people like do you actually lay eyes on in the course of a regular day, not counting your family?
Oh my gosh, not much at all. Because I work from home and everything is through like a Teams, Microsoft Teams meetings and whatnot.
But if you went out into the world, like had to go pick something up or something, is even that easy? Like, how close are you to your groceries, for example?
It's just down the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So like if you run out, like, is it like a situation where you see 20 cars and like, fewer than 100 people, or like, how does that, like, what's it like?
Yeah, so definitely more than 100 people.
Mhm.
It's a major city that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't even tell you what her population is, which is kind of bad of me. I mean, there's thousands of people like within the city or town, whatever you want to call it.
Like, I have to tell you, I went to Kansas City to do a talk one time, and the guy was like, "We're going to take you to the city." And as we were going into it, I was like, "What?" I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, did you ever play Sim City where you build a world?
Yeah, I remember that back in the day. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Like, it felt like after you planted the first 4 blocks and it popped up and everything around it was dirt, I was like, that's the city? Like, it was like an oasis of like small buildings, it looked like to me. And then I got there, I just went to the desk after I checked in. I was like, I want to go get a meal. Like, where can I go? Where can I eat? And the guy's like, oh, go here, here, here. And I walked 6, 7 blocks. I didn't see 20 people. And I was like, what the hell's happening? I'm like, I thought this was the city. It's such a different world, like from what I'm accustomed to. So, but you are around a fair amount of people when you go out, and you're saying that's too much. You wish there were fewer.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people that sits around and goes like, I'm going to get these kids out of here, and then I'm going to buy a 2-room cabin and die in it? Is that like?
No, maybe not. Not a 2-room cabin. No,
Okay.
like that would be a little too small for me. But to answer your question, like the city that I live in, I just Googled it here. We have 75,000 people that live here.
Okay.
So if that kind of helps you a little bit.
I think it does.
Live in like a small town of like 100 people,
Yeah. My problem is I'm watching 1923 right now. So everything feels... Everything feels like Yellowstone, but like 100 years ago.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yep. So it's not like that, you're saying?
No, not like that. Right. Not like that.
Are there places like that around you?
Yeah. I mean, we have some pretty small towns around here. I mean, for my job, like we get referrals of people who are wanting to transition back home, and I'll get like this name of this town. I'm like, do we have that in the state? I've never heard of this town before. And there's like 24 people that live in this town, I
just for fun Googled the town I live in.
Uh-huh.
I live in a town that is 20 square miles. And we have a population of 16,000 people. Like, so, because I was like, 75,000 sounds like such a big number, but I'm like, I don't think it is.
Uh-huh.
Because you just Google like square miles for where you live. Like how many, that those 75,000 people are in how much space?
35 square miles.
Okay. So Okay. So there's a lot of people there then. Or is there a lot of people here? Which is it? I don't know how to think of it. I'll figure it out later. People are like, hey, don't figure it out now, man. We're trying to listen to a podcast.
Figure it out later.
Yeah. Why don't you do that on your own time, Ted? How involved is your family with the diabetes?
My kids are well aware about it. In fact, I think there's one evening, Scott, that I didn't feel good. I think I got up that morning to go work out, and I wasn't feeling good. I put my head on the table, and I was having a low at that time too. And I took something for the low and kind of recovered from that. But my now 11-year-old, he checked on me twice. He's like, Mom, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, I'm just tired, And then he came back again. Mom, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah. So they are all in tuned about like what I would need if something dramatic happened and I couldn't respond. In fact, my 6-year-old now, she'll hear the alarms go off on my Dexcom and Omnipod, and she's like, Mom, you're low. I'm going to go get you a snack. And like, she gets it. And she gets that if I say, no, my blood sugars are high, she'll be like, I'm going to get your phone and you need to give yourself insulin. I'm like, for a 6-year-old, you get this pretty good.
So that's cool that she gets it. Does it make you feel bad?
Sometimes I think like, okay, like my kids shouldn't have to worry about me at this age. So like when I would do biking events, I would bike with my oldest, who is now 16, and he can outbike me. But I remember at that time he was 12 and saying, hey, buddy, if this happens, this is what you need to do, and ... And I was thinking to myself, he shouldn't have to do that, though. Yeah. He shouldn't have to be responsible to keep me alive.
But new reality, right? Like it's what it is now.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
To me, it's like a movie, an Armageddon kind of movie, or, the zombies come or something. You're like, this isn't fair, but the zombies are here now. So this is what we do now. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's very abrupt and not fair, obviously, and certainly not what you were looking for, but you got to adjust. And there's just no doubt it's going to impact everybody. There's nothing you can do about it. Like I hear people all the time saying like, I don't want this to impact my kids. I'm like, well, it's going to.
Is.
Yeah. Right. Like, I don't want this to impact my whatever. I'm like, oh, well, it's going to. Like, it's not going to, like, you're going to find your way through it. It's just not going to look, life isn't going to look the way you thought it was going to. It doesn't make it bad. It's just different. And I think if you can get past that, then it is what it is. Like, I hear people all the time say like, well, I'm just very worried about what this is doing to my, like, I have a type 1 and they have a sibling, and I'm worried about how the sibling is like, I don't want it to affect them. And I'm like, well, wah. Like that's, it's going to, and I don't even know how, and either do you. Like you'll find out, but I don't think it's worth being sad about. It's just, you just got to adjust.
Right. Because there's nothing that we can go back and change, like there's not a cure for it right now.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, Scott, it's like, hopefully I can be a role model for them to say like, when you go through hard things, like you keep on moving, and hopefully they're inspired by it. I don't know. Maybe once they're past their teenage years, I don't know, Scott, but
it'll inform them. I was interviewing somebody and they said a way they were handling something, and I just thought that's not right. Like you're giving your kids the wrong feeling here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to be too like specific, I guess, but like,
sure,
everything is attitude, and whether it works or not is, I don't know. Maybe it will and maybe it won't. You can't have something bad happen and throw your hands up in the air and be like, oh, that's it. See, it's over. We're dead. And then show people hopelessness, because then they're going to model hopelessness. Whether it's real or not, like you got to fake it till you make it a little bit. And you got to give your kids the idea that like, we can do this. Like, even if you can't, I think you have to say that you can, and then just do your best, because then the attitude you leave with is something hard happened. We tried. We're still alive. We did it. Seems kind of obvious, I guess, but I don't know. Like some people just get knocked over by things and they don't respond well.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's my thought. Like, definitely hope that they look at it as like, hard things are going to happen in life. Like it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have challenges, but it's how you respond to those challenges that is going to make your life different. And
it sounds cliched and goofy, but it's really true. So
it is.
Yeah. Everything's not going to be perfect, but there's versions of better, and you should be reaching for. I've been helping somebody personally with their finances recently. Like, I forget how they put it, but like the vibe was like, I'm never going to be rich. And I was like, yeah, well, most of us aren't going to be rich. Like, I was like, I was like, is that your goal? I was like, because if that was your goal, you probably shouldn't have gone to college for this. You can't just wish out loud. Like, I want to make tie-dye t-shirts. I'd also like to be a billionaire. Well, that isn't going to work out like that. Like, I just kind of adjusted their thinking. I was like, look, I said, how much money like would make you comfortable? Like where you weren't worrying. And they gave me a number, and I said, okay. I said, I think there's a way where 18 months from now, you could have that much money in savings. Like, here's how I would do that if I was you. And I said, and then, 18 months from now, you can readjust your goal and make another goal. You keep moving. But it was so quickly, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. So it's bad. So it's wrong. So I'm done. Like, I can't do it. I'm like, oh, so you're thinking about this way wrong. I'm like, you have to step back and see a bigger picture here. Like, I think even with the diabetes, like there can be too much staring at the floor, just thinking about right now and not enough big picture stuff,
Right. Yeah. Well, you have to do something to change it,
Yeah,
So if,
little steps.
yeah, little by little, changing a little bit every day for the better, like it will get you there. It's like tortoise and the hare,
Yeah.
like
And if you have a bad day, it's not over. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't go,
no,
oh, well, see, I didn't do I didn't do a little better today. So I'll just going to throw myself on the floor now. I don't know. Like, I don't want this to sound like a bro podcast where I'm just like, succeed, get out there. This is just kind of how it works. You got to get up hopeful, and you got to keep trying, and it doesn't always go well, and you can't be judging yourself moment to moment. It's got to be big picture. Like, I love somebody telling me, hey, listen, my A1C was 7.7, and 3 months later it was 7.4. And I'm like, awesome. I bet you it's going to be 7 next time. And then they keep, like clunking away. And then one day they come back to you and they go, look, I was 7.7, then I was 7.4, then I was 6.5. And now my A1C is 6. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. It only took a year. But the problem is, for some reason, you go back a year and say that to somebody, go, a year from now, your A1C is going to be 6. And they go, a year? Oh, it's forever.
But
do
you think that's because of the fast-paced society that we live in, of like, all right, I'm hungry, I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to run through a drive-through or something, where we want everything like right now?
Well, there is an expectation that everything happens immediately. We've tricked ourselves, with digital stuff, with stuff on your phone, to think that I want something and it comes immediately. Like, that's it. Like, there's nothing you could say to me right now that I couldn't see in 10 seconds. Like, nothing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, when you have that expectation, then the stuff that takes longer probably feels like, what the hell? I'm never going to get there. But I found that after being alive for a while, when you realize, this is going to sound strange, but when you realize you're not going to die, you know what I mean? Like, this is it. I'm here. You can get a bigger view of things. Like, everything doesn't feel, to me at least, as like so important to happen right now. Like, it doesn't matter if it happens now or if it happens 3 years from now, or if I plan for it and, I drop dead before it happens. Like, none of that matters. I think what really matters is just good, positive direction and, incremental change.
Yep. And knowing that you're going to have a bad day, but you're going to get up the next day and do better. It doesn't make for a bad life.
Yeah. And listen, if something catastrophic happens to you, that's different. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, right. Like, if that happens, then it's a shame. But then I think you navigate that the same way. Like, we're all just navigating ourselves to death. Like, so like you either are going faster or slower, and you either have a lot of time left or a little bit of time left, hopefully. So in the meantime, like, why would I want to make the time I have unpleasant? That's like odd to me. Like, so I don't know. I guess when I was younger, though, I probably did it. Mm-hmm. So it's easy for me now to say, like, oh, like, have big ideas and like, step back, see macro. But when I was 20, I was probably like, oh my God, I'm broke. This is never going to work out.
Yep. Yep. Looking a lot of the micro instead of the macro.
Yeah. How am I going to get a girl to talk to me that's reasonable? And you get one to talk to you and you're like, oh my God, this one's crazy. Probably thinking the same thing about me. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, well, that wasn't right. I just put 6 months into that. Everything can feel like, but you could just choose to look at it differently. Like, look, I spent 6 months with her and we did some things that were fun. You know what I mean? Like, and I've learned stuff about myself, and I'll just move on and do it again. Like, so
sure.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I am super chatty this week, though. I wonder what that's about.
I don't know.
Probably feeling better. Had my nose fixed. I'm breathing well.
Oh, yeah. That's going well for you?
Oh, awesome. My nose was so impeded that after the surgery, and I'm talking about an hour after the surgery, while I'm at home and Arden and I are eating cheeseburgers, because she's like, are you hungry? I'm like, let's get a cheeseburger. She was like, I'm still messed up on from the whole thing. I have basically the equivalent of a giant tampon strapped under my nostrils. Like, right. And so I'm wrapped up. My nose is just bleeding. It's just bleeding. Like, you just change the thing. It bleeds again, like the whole thing. I'm like stuffing this cheeseburger in my mouth sideways. And like, I'm like, oh, I haven't had a French fry in forever. It was like so salty. It was awesome. And I stopped and took off the dressing at one point. Like you're not allowed to blow your nose. So like you just kind of like, I'm sorry for people, but like you just jam some stuff up there and absorb as much out as you can. And then you reapply your tampon and you go back to it. And I put the thing back on and I said to Arden, I'm breathing better right now than I was before the surgery. Like if you're looking for like an indication of how poorly I could move air through my nose, I was breathing better 2 hours after the surgery than I had prior to it.
Wow.
And now it's like a month later and like it's still healing. Like if you press on the bridge of my nose still, it's sore. Uh-huh. Like it's like not bad, but there's soreness. I know it's not healed yet. And I still can't. Oh, you're going to get me to say this out loud, Karen. I can't really pick my nose perfectly yet, which you don't realize how much you want to pick your nose until you can't. Sorry.
That's great.
Yeah. Right now, I still have to like put schmutz. Like, I don't know what this is called. Isabel sent me this AYR. It's like a gel spray and it kind of keeps it moist. So you keep the inside moist. And then every once in a while, like, you know, you go mining and clear it out, but you don't want it to bleed or anything. And it's still sore. But I'm super excited because I think like a week from now, I'm going to be able to blow my nose without going, ow, that didn't feel good. And I think that's when I'll be able to really assess what's going on. But I can breathe in and out through my nose. Like I mentioned this on the podcast. People will have heard it by the time they hear this, but you haven't heard me say it.
Okay.
I very embarrassingly asked the surgeon how people breathe. Like I was super serious. I was like, hey, can I ask you a question? It's going to sound strange. And he's like, yeah. And I said, do you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth or out through your mouth and in through your nose? And he goes, most people just breathe in and out through their nose. And I was like, get out of here. Really?
Oh my.
Yeah. I was like, seriously? He goes, yeah. He goes, like when you're like driving in your car or sleeping, most people just breathe through their nose. And I was like, oh, that's insane. And I actually said, do you think I'll have to teach myself to do that? Like I felt like an idiot, but I felt like a child, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how long it's been.
Wow. So you couldn't breathe at all through your nose?
I would never move air through my nose.
Wow.
Almost ever. No.
It's going to be a game changer for you, Scott.
I know, right? I hope this makes me taller. I really feel like this could be the thing.
That could be the thing? I mean.
Can you imagine if I just got taller? You'd be like, oh my God, he didn't have enough oxygen. Poor guy. But seriously, like the one thing the thing that pushed me over the edge was my dentist, believe it or not.
Okay.
But the thing that got me thinking about it 2 years ago, I stopped being able to sing in the car. I was getting out of breath singing while I was driving.
You must enjoy singing, huh? While driving?
I mean, a little bit.
A little bit.
When I go off on like tangents on the podcast, I wasn't breathing.
Oh, you're going to pass out, Scott. We can't have that.
You have no idea. Like it got so bad that Rob was like, I had to start editing out where you gasped for air after you spoke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like I was talking and then ending and going, and he was editing that out so people wouldn't hear it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, what really got me was my dentist. Like, unlike you going to your eye doctor, I got decent advice. And it's probably because I live in civilization, but that's neither between here and there. He's like, it's just so disgusting. But I already talked about picking my nose. So like, let's just finish strong. He said, there's a bacteria in your mouth that doesn't belong there. And I was like, what now? It's like, that doesn't sound right. And he goes, no, we're going to have to like kill it with an antibiotic. And I was like, what the hell? So I took his medicine, to kill my bacteria. But I asked him, I was like, how can this happen? And he said, I don't know. Like, this is a bacteria that's killed by the natural process of breathing. It really shouldn't be in your mouth. And I just stopped and I said, I don't think I breathe well. And I explained to him how I breathe. And he goes, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, have you ever noticed like sometimes like when you're working for a while in my mouth, like I need to I need the suction to work. And he goes, oh, I have seen you like kind of panic like that. I was like, yeah. I was like, because I can't breathe through my nose. And he was like, oh, go to an ENT. And I think between the not being able to sing in the car and the scary bacteria in my mouth, I don't remember what it was called, or I would tell you. I just literally I left his appointment. I went out in my car and I called an ENT.
Sure.
I got an appointment. I forced my way in. The guy, he numbs my nose. He goes, I'm going to check your nose. I'll numb it a little bit. He sprayed something up there. I was like, okay. And he takes this metal rod and he goes way up my nose and just pushes off to the side. And he goes, breathe. And I went, oh, that's awesome. And he did the other side. He goes, your nose is deviated on both sides. It's blocked pretty significantly. And I said, yeah. I said, I fell when I was a kid. And he goes, has this been your whole life? And I was like, I think so. So
that's what caused it, is from you falling.
My parents bought me a new pair of dress shoes when I was 5. I was upstairs trying them on, getting dressed. We were going somewhere. My uncle was downstairs. I was a third of the way down this. I remember this very clearly. I was a third of the way down the stairs. I could now see him, how kind of the stairs kind of open up. Yeah. He was sitting on the hearth. Do people know what that is? You do, because you live in the wilderness. But the thing in front of your fireplace. And he was he was sitting on the hearth, and I was I saw him, and I was super excited to show him my shoes, and I lifted one of my feet up, and of course, in 1976, shoes were made out of wood and unbendable leather, and they were brand new, and my foot slipped out, and I went down this. I fell down the stairs, and I cried. I smashed my face going down the stairs.
Oh,
so
that's awful.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, listen, I don't remember a ton about being a kid, but I remember that. And so, I remember being bloody afterwards, and my mom being panicked and all that stuff. And I've just never really breathed correctly after that. We didn't do anything crazy, go to a doctor or anything. We were just the 5-year-old just slid down wooden stairs on his face. He's probably all right.
Just put a Band-Aid on it. It's all good stuff.
It stopped bleeding. So, bad parenting is why I couldn't breathe for we were broke. Nobody was, you know what I mean? If I wasn't dead, nobody was going to a doctor. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway. That was my family too growing up.
Yeah.
No. I think I had influenza for 2 weeks and didn't go to the doctor. I remember trying to go upstairs to my bedroom to go to sleep, and I couldn't make it all the way upstairs. I had to stop halfway through and rest on the stairs because I was that weak when I was a teenager. Did
you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
too older.
There's others if she doesn't make it.
Yeah, she's a baby of the family. It's fine.
We don't really need all these kids. Looking back, it was a huge mistake.
Right. It's fine if she just dies on the stairs.
No. Yeah. Well, we'll blame the flu. It'll be awful. In a long line of things in my life that I think, oh God, I should have done this a long time ago. You know what I mean? Why did I wait so long to do this? And I have one more thing on my list like that. And after I take care of that, I'll be okay. So.
Sure. I guess maybe mine wasn't as long, but that's how I feel about a pump. Why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah. As soon as you get it. I heard the podcast this morning. I don't sometimes hear it in its full finished form. But somebody asked me to listen to it, so I listened. And an Omnipod ad came on, and I listened to it because I'm a good podcast listener, and I know that I should listen to the ads because it helps the podcaster. I heard myself say my daughter's been using an Omnipod every day since she was 4. And I thought, man, that's really something. She's going to be 21 this summer, Wow. And that ad is it's not an ad. That is really, I mean, it is, but it's me being really honest. That thing has been a real friend to her. I don't know where she'd be without it. So,
right. Yeah. It's been great. And I love the fact that it's tubeless, I'm not getting caught up on door handles or other things because of tubing. And I think just the biking, the hiking and that kind of stuff, I wouldn't want to be kind of tethered to something like that,
Also, if a different pump's right for you, then a different pump's right for you. Now, let's hope it's a different pump who also buys an ad on the podcast. So we're talking about Medtronic, Tandem, and maybe Twiist, actually. So use the links in the show notes, but you should figure out what works for you. You like tubeless. Other people I've heard say, I don't care about the tubing. I like this about it more. Whatever works is, listen, I'm not telling you have to have an insulin pump. And if you look at the numbers, the vast majority of people with type 1 diabetes don't use an insulin pump. but I think they should. And I think that you would find, like, once you got over I don't know how to use this. And like, once you got past all of that, I think you'd say, I should have done this sooner. You know? And
I
anyway,
agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
And seriously, if you don't have a CGM and you have type 1 diabetes, like, I don't even know what to say to you. Like, please, if you can afford it, like, please get it. Just, it'll change your life. I
would be lost without a CGM. Let's just say that. If I had to pick between an insulin pump or a CGM, it'd be a CGM.
Absolutely, 100%. It would still be. Arden got up yesterday. She's on, like, she's got a spring break, right? She's going to school from home now. Like, she's got spring break. She gets out of bed. And she's like, hey, she sent me a text. She goes, can you just look after the dog a little longer for me? I'm going to jump in the shower. And I was like, all right. I look and her blood sugar is like, it's like 110. And I don't know what happened. Like, usually the shower doesn't hit her like that. But her blood sugar, like, started, like, zooming up. Like, I'm not kidding. There's that algorithm just bolusing and pushing extra basal and bolusing. And it stopped her like 190 and it brought it back down again. But if she wasn't on an algorithm, like, her blood sugar just would have kept going up and up and up and up. And if she didn't have the CGM, we wouldn't have even known about it. She would have, like, imagine if she got out of bed, tested and was like, oh, I'm 110. This is awesome. I'm taking a shower. And then all that other stuff happens and you're blind to it. And then the next time you go, maybe you go to eat 45 minutes later and you probably think to yourself, I'm going to bolus based on 110. Mm-hmm. Right? But now your blood sugar is, she was 195 with the insulin that the algorithm was giving. She probably would have been 250, 300. Bolusing for a while. And you can say, oh, well, she should have tested again. I'm like, and that's not wrong, but like, probably not how it ends up going. So she boluses for 110 in her food when she's 250 or so. And then maybe starts feeling a couple hours later and checks her blood sugar and goes, oh God, I'm 300. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I same story here. If I take a hot shower at all, I am like cruising up, and I probably would have bolused off of like a 110 blood sugar if I didn't have a CGM.
And I'm just saying, like, let your mind tumble through that. Like, because now you don't have a CGM, you don't have an algorithm. You figure out like 4 hours later, you're 300. And now your brain goes, oh, I didn't bolus right from my meal, but maybe you did. Maybe it was the rise earlier that's this problem. Or maybe it's like your basal's wrong. Like, who even knows? But then that's what happens is your brain starts running in 1,000 directions. It probably picks the wrong thing to think about. And now you're just, you're sure that you know what went wrong. And it turns out it's something completely different, but you don't know because you don't have the data. And I'm just saying, like, I know everybody can't afford it. I know some people don't have insurance. I know some people's insurance doesn't cover stuff. But if you can afford it, CGM, and then if you want to keep going, my opinion, an algorithm-based insulin pump, and then get good settings in it and learn how food impacts you, and then go live your life with your 6A1C.
Yep.
Anyway, all right.
Absolutely.
Karen, this is going to be another text I get from Rob where he goes, hey, what are you doing going for 90 minutes? Like, I'm trying to live over here. Let me say goodbye to you and thank you very much. And I appreciate you letting me be chatty. And for everybody listening, I'm sure next week I won't talk as much. So sorry. And if you don't like it, you. It's my podcast. I can do whatever.
It is your podcast.
I can do whatever I want, damn it. Like, people are like, listen, I don't have to listen. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Hold on 1 second for me. Touched by Type 1 sponsored this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Check them out at touchedbytype1.org on Instagram and Facebook. Give them a follow. Go check out what they're doing. They are helping people with type 1 diabetes in ways you just can't imagine. I'd like to thank the Eversense 365 for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast and remind you that if you want the only sensor that gets inserted once a year and not every 14 days, you want the Eversense CGM. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. 1 year, one CGM. The podcast you just enjoyed was sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. Learn more about Tandem's newest automated insulin delivery system, Tandem Mobi with Control-IQ Plus technology at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. There are links in the show notes and links at juiceboxpodcast.com. I can't thank you enough for listening. Please make sure you're subscribed or following in your audio app. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.